What's up, everyone? This is Dmitri, the home-built paramotor engine and paramotor guy that is also self-trained. I'm not boasting, I'm just saying. This is my background. I flew last weekend my first ever production unit paramotor, which was Chris Cruise's Nitro 200 unit, and that was actually my first time ever putting one on. So my whole experience up to this point has been with my home-built Predator 212 build, which is, if you don't know what that is, it's a similar engine to a GX200 by Honda. So it's a 6.5 horsepower, 3,600 RPM limited engine that I took to probably well above 17 plus horsepower, revving to, well, it will rev to 9,000, but with a propeller, I think it was like 7,200, 7,300 was my highest. Anyway, so here's my review. Chris asked me to talk about it, and I'm over here hiking to my paragliding site, which is the ridge behind my house. So I figured I'd take a moment and do that. So the first thing I'll say is when I put it on, it's definitely about 10 to 20 pounds lighter than my machine. So I immediately noticed that. It was very easy to be maneuvering it on the ground, and so in high winds with a nice reverse launch situation, it was incredibly easy to get off the ground. It definitely had, when I was up in the air, a lot more horsepower than my engine did, so it had produced a lot of thrust. So that was definitely noticeable. I'll put it this way, it felt like cheating. On my paramotor, I actually have to run and then climb pretty slowly, whereas here, literally go full power, and you know, I'm pretty light, so going full power wasn't the best thing because of the torque. I don't know what kind of torque compensation that machine has, but you know, even like 90% throttle, I had more than enough power to basically climb vertically like an elevator because of the wind. So that was cool, and felt smooth. It felt comfortable. It was very easy. Like the throttle was comfortable. It's just easy to fly, man. It was a joy. But you know what? One thing I noticed is it was not as different as I expected from my home build, which is pretty cool. So I'm kind of giving myself a pat on the back for doing that. Anyway, so a couple of negatives that I noticed. Number one is it's a very flexy unit. So, you know, it has carbon fiber rods for the net, for the spars, and then the netting wasn't super tight on it, and so that was kind of a negative for me. At least up to this point in my flying, I would have considered that a big negative, because in learning I've taken a couple of butt landings and a few other things where that would have been a deal breaker. But flying today, where I have my technique down for the most part, not a big deal. Yeah, I like it, man. Another thing I noticed is the arm, the gooseneck bars, when I was moving around on the ground, but also in the air, they were kind of squealing and croaking a little bit, which tells me that somewhere in there there's a metal contact or swivel, which I really don't like personally. Is it a big deal? Not if you check for it. I just don't like squeaky metal. When I designed mine, I put a oil impregnated bronze bushing that rides on a half inch grade 8 bolt, and it has 2 polymer washers on each side, so the arm rides smoothly on plastic and the oil impregnated bronze bushing, so the bolt doesn't wear down from friction. And it's going to be a beautiful day to fly. We got another up there to hike. Anyway, Chris, you're the man. Thank you for letting me do that. I love that I got to try an actual paramotor. It gives me ideas for my next one. I'm already planning to build my next one because the reason I was flying Chris's in the first place, because my engine took a big dump. And once again, I'm feeling pretty defeated with it. And a lot of it is out of my control because it's like factory parts breaking that shouldn't be breaking, kind of deal. And you know what? A lot of people say, hey, these engines don't last very well in aviation or whatever, or from hard use, or from having hard builds like that. And you know what? That's not the case. All of the mistakes that I've made that caused my engine to break in one way or another were self-induced, including this one. I do believe is just incredibly difficult to get all the clearances and all the spacings correct where nothing interferes. And so I'm taking a pause. I'm gonna put a light duty cam in it because I have one. I need to replace the crank because I damaged the gear that spins the cam. And I'm gonna fly easy down on thrust for a while as I come up with this next project, which I may or may not make too public, but we'll see how that goes. Chris, thank you. You're the man. Thanks for watching.